Hello, hello. Today is October 17, 2023. It's a SIG Node weekly meeting. Welcome, everybody. On agenda today, we have four items. Kevin, you have a first item.
All right, thank you, Sergey. I'm gonna go ahead and can you give me host?
You can now present.
All right. Yeah. So I've been working on this split image disk cap, and I ran into one issue, and I wanted to get SIG Node's feelings on it. So as a reminder, the work really is to add a new file system for containers, and you can see here the image fsinfo takes an image fsinfo request and it returns an image fsinfo response. No big deal. The issue we run into is in this cryo packages API services.go. The image manager service is actually returning only the image file system. I originally, I guess it's probably not a good idea to change this signature. So what we were considering to do for this new the API is actually adding a new endpoint, a new image fsinfo to return the entire image fsinfo response, so we can actually return both file systems. I guess that's I guess that was kind of the and so I was wondering if that's the good path forward.
I guess realistically, it's the only path forward if you want to return more data. There is no way to change signature.
Okay. So I guess, does that mean that if we do add this one, I guess should we call the existing one deprecated, or do we want to keep both for now? I guess for now we'll have to for now, but do we eventually want to phase out the shortcut one?
I would be in favor of like sunsetting that old one. We don't have any procedure for removing anything in Sierra API, so I think it will stay there forever-ish. But we can mark it as less desirable to call.
Okay. I guess I don't know if Peter. Yeah. All right. I think that.
I think
I think
Murnau
that's.
will be an approver for that. Murnau, do you have any other?
Yeah, I think this sounds good. I'll take a look at the code, leave comments, but this sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I wanted to just make a quick note about it. The endpoint that's being changed is not a CRI call itself. Like the CRI call itself has the correct image FS response. It's a endpoint in the services file, which is used by CRI API and then, or sorry, cry tools, and then the kubelet. So like the ambiguity here is that it's not really clear if we provide any sort of guarantees about these functions, like, and their stability, because it's not the API itself. It's like a wrapper API around it to like simplify the type exchanges. So I don't know if that changes people's, this is kind of why I'm finding myself on the fence between adding a new API and just being like, we're changing it, get over it if you use it. Because it's not actually part of the CRI API or used by any of the CRI implementations. It's just like an end user of the CRI API.
I think it's okay to just add a new one, right? And keep the old one around for now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was leaning towards, but that it's also, I wasn't sure if it was just excessive to do so. But if people still feel like that's worth it, then I'm fine with that.
I mean, briefly looking at proposal, I feel that it's generic enough so we can extend it later. And I believe we may need to have more extensibility there.
Yeah, the point is like the CRI call itself, the one that like Containerd or Cryo will implement, already uses the image FS response. So it's not like there needs to be anything that, like, it's already very extendable. The file that needs changing is a services.go, which is in the CRI API directory, but it's not used by any of the CRI implementations. It's like an end user. So the question is whether we want to provide any sort of stability guarantees for that file, because it's not like an API per se, it's kind of like an end user of the API, but exposed as a public Go function.
Yeah, Peter, I think this maybe we need some other, yeah. Let me, can you add a comment? What do you just state here? And so we can take another look since there's the end user facing. So maybe a little bit more careful on those things. Yeah. Sounds like there's the potential.
Yeah, I'll,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
It sounds there's the potential of the semantic change for the end user. So we even don't know how much the dependency on that one. So that's why maybe we need to be careful on this one. So can you just add your comment here and to the doc, to the PR itself?
Yeah, I'll put
can...
a little blurb about it.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, is there more comments on that? If not, I changed the order of some items in the agenda. Let's go with in place VPA related PRs, Jackson.
Yes. Yeah, I think recently we talked with a few community members using this feature, and we do collect a few PRs to resolve the like the performance and the reliability issues. I think I listed like 4 PRs there that pending reviews, and we try to talk with Vinay, but Vinay currently is busy with his like internal work. So I think it's better to get some reviewers from the SIG Node reviewers and help us move this forward. Yeah, that's I think most of the PRs are in good shape. All the test coverage, all the tests has been added, and it's just like pending reviews. So, what do you think? Anyone from the SIG Node can help pick up the review tests for those PRs?
Yeah, looking at PRs, they are all over the place. So in many aspects of Kubernetes touched. I don't think you'll find single reviewer who will review all of those aspects.
It's probably good for you to help check those issues and assign to the appropriate person who can help review. I know it's probably across the different files and domains. Yeah.
Yeah, we struggle with similar issue with sidecar cap, because sidecar is targeting beta, and we have so many PRs in flight, and we struggle to find people reviewing and approving stuff. Kind of a similar situation. We don't have pool of people to assign to necessarily.
I see.
If there's some related to like pod lifecycle or kind of that pod worker type of things. I'm happy to take a look, at least for that area.
Okay, thank you, David. Yeah, I think the next topic is about similar thing. Do you want to highlight anything specific about this PRs? Are they fixing some like bugs that were created and reported by end users? Do you have any theme for that? Like that PRs needs to be reviewed together somehow, or they're all independent and fixing different aspects of it?
Yeah, overall, I think those are like independent PRs, and one thing is I think like one PR is for the performance, the in-place VPA performance, it reduced to the second level, and the rest of the PRs are more like bug fixes under different scenarios. For example, if we specify the resource under like 10 CPUs, 10 like shared CPUs. And like if customer resources is not specified, then the VPA won't work. Like we fixed those issues, and all those I think issues were found in in production usage. Yeah. So all the issues, I checked all the issues. I think we have the good descriptions and the test report attached. It just takes some time to review. Yeah.
I think we have some folks in Red Hat working on this, so I'll see if they can help review as well.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Thank you, Jackson. And I think it's a good switch of topics to the next item on agenda. I added it here. So during the last annual report, we decided that we need to review owners files, but we postponed this task. Since then, you can look at the task. We cleaned up a little bit the CRI API approvers, and we also added 2 reviewers. But Dim's raised a good point yesterday about like we need to try to make this list even healthier, and we need to decide what to do with that. So we may need to put some approvers who are not very active into emeritus status. We need to discuss with people whether they want to do that. And we're also thinking of separating reviewers and approvers. Right now, every approver is a reviewer as well, but I don't think it reflects reality very well. We want to make sure that reviewers are separate list and it's healthy list, and approvers is the same, like it's also healthy list on the side. So I think that items we want to make on cleaning up owners files. And as a continuation of that, I wanted to highlight the fact that I was tracking PR stats before, and we've been in like 200 kind of diapason and less than 200 most commonly. And then we stopped tracking it because we over pivoted to concentrate on caps approvals. Like we reviewed caps very thoroughly, and we delivered a lot of caps and PRs related to caps. And I think we lost track of PRs a little bit and don't have enough energy to track PRs. And out of 200, we went to the 300 diapason now. Like we have 300 active PRs. I mean, it's a little bit worse because like just last week, 41 PR was created. It's not typical. Like typically we have less PRs created. So this week is worse. But at the same time, we also merged a lot this past week. So what I think I'm gonna do is to restart tracking these numbers, and we'll pause these numbers again. And I'm thinking also extending these numbers to separate. We have a triage column right now, triage project right now for PRs. In this project, we have column for approvers. It's all PRs that have LGTMs, and we have also column for things that waiting on author and things that are unrelated to SIG Node at all. So I think splitting 300 into these columns and these categories will really help to understand where we're lagging. Are we lagging on reviews and like getting LGTMs, or we're lagging on approvals, or we're lagging on people not responding back on our comments? So that may be very useful to start tracking as a continuous number. And finally, as an immediate reaction on that, I think it's Paco suggested there is a query listed under the backup list, something. It listing all the LGTM PR which are ready to be approved. So if you're an approver and you have some cycles, please consider taking a look. Now it's a much shorter list. It was a little bit longer a couple days back. So thank you very much. Is there any comments on that? Yeah, I wanted to just highlight that we have many community members who help in triage PRs and putting them in the right columns. I think it's very important work, and once we start tracking numbers of these columns, it will really help us understand where we need to improve and what kind of whether we need more reviewers, whether we need more approvers, whether we need whether we need to close PRs more aggressively when people not replying to us. So this is something we need to understand, and having PRs triaged in these columns will really help to get the right signal.
I think makes sense, Sergey. I think one minor thing that will help is I saw a bunch of PRs that we have approved, but don't get approval because it also needs other SIG's approval. So if we can somehow separate that into a list, it'll be useful from a tracking perspective.
Yeah, it's a good point. Let me put a note.
But just one point, thanks for sharing that list, important and looks good thing. This morning, actually, I did spend some time go over. There's I think I kind of like some is pretty straightforward, but it's been held there for long. So I did approve bunch, and but there are some actually is waiting for author because author reply and there's the open question, but just because previous people put the looks good to me, it's timing there's no open question. And so it cannot just simply say, okay, there's the one people put the looks good to me, and the rest of the open question, no need. There's the one, for example, Sergey did ask question, is wallet question, but actually it is, but it's not that. I think the code itself actually covered, but it's just harder to find. So I did approve, even there's the open question, and I addressed resolve that open question. But there's some is really I think is really good question, and people also never come back. So that's why I think the problem is the system not really automatic pickup. The system only mark this looks good to me, not mark this one. Like I have a lot of good question, but the people just didn't reply, and I see the tons of the message auto generated. Say, okay, please do this, please do that, but I won't feel comfortable to approval because I think tons of the good question asked by people, especially like the several PR I look at is the request by ad. So then which means if I want to apply, I basically have to treat myself as the new reviewer, fresh reviewer. So I just want to comment here because looks good to me is starting to really indicate that the entire of the PIs looks good to all people. Yeah,
That's a very valid point. I think from etiquette perspective, we may just make it clear that removing LGTM is not a sign of anything bad. It's just a sign of we want to classify PR in different category. So maybe we can start removing LGTM as well. I know it may seem undesirable for some, but if we explain it right, I think it wouldn't be treated as a bad move from our side.
I guess I did have one comment on I guess, reviewers and approvers. How do we do, like SIG Node own, or all SIGs own a lot of code, but generally, like, there's like stuff in test infra, there's end-to-end tests, there's also like kubelet features. Do we include like graduation for reviewers and approvers to like those different areas to kind of help spread some of the approver load?
Yeah, generally we have more approvers on side projects, like on sub projects, and to become a like core approver for everything, who will have permissions for all the sub projects. It's a high bar, and I think we have published guidance on that on how to get there. I don't think anybody was promoted to approver after this guidance was published, so we yet to test it.
Yeah, well, I guess my point was mostly around like different like ladders for like end-to-end tests versus like, test infra configs, and like, cause like sometimes like, some of those are less, or some of those are, different levels of scrutiny. And I didn't know like if that was, I haven't looked at that doc around how different reviewers are graduating to different reviewer and approver. I don't know how it differs between the three different areas.
Yeah, generally approvers for sub projects might decide on adding more approvers for this same sub area.
For the testing and the ETE test, node test, actually, I do think about we have the special sub project, right, Kevin? And there's the separate approval. I think what you ask is more sub area, have the more like if we can, not just test and I think that's a good idea. It's just need the effort to break out more. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I do say that earlier, like there's the test only related change also. We didn't do good job. We didn't approve. So that's why that part actually I think I immediate. It's easy for me to apply. But there are a lot of things I found that there's the open question. Yeah, open and also the questions really make sense. So yeah, definitely we need more bandwidth, need the reviewer bandwidth and the approver bandwidth more. Yeah.
By the way, in Kubernetes overall, there is a long-standing issue that we cannot make owners per file. So we cannot say like pattern underscore test.go has a separate approver set, and it makes it harder to shift the load on approving some like unit test staging but to other approvers. So everything needs to be approved by core approvers. It's another area that if anybody interested to contribute, it will help the entire Kubernetes community.
Yes, Sergey, one thought on the reporting metric, and I know you're in a side chat we have where this was coming up. I don't know if it's worthwhile if we have a way of breaking out like cherry pick requests. Seems like they may come with different urgency, and I know I was talking with Dims just now on some concerns I have on how we ensure that they're properly reviewed. But I'm curious if there's it would be important that we keep our numbers right on the backport request, because it's probably a sense of urgency that people were potentially frustrated on for their current releases.
It's a good point. By cherry pick, do you also include regressions that we recently found and need to address?
I'm just thinking anything that would have the cherry pick requested labeling, and I think there's some things we could do to improve that, but yeah, it's just that the difference between new capability versus a backport of now merged capability.
I agree with Derek. Yeah, I do see that there's the cherry pick this morning, and it's been there for a while. But then I have to chase in previous one. Obviously, got the proper approval, but this we are missed the
Yeah,
cherry
like the cherry pick I was reviewing right now referenced a PR that never merged and was closed, and so it was confusing. And then later referenced a PR that didn't appear to have the code in question that also made it complicated. And so what I was trying to think through is like, if there's a backlog of similar unique cherry pick PRs that we're deficient on, one, we could call those out, close them out, or make it an affirming decision on those quicker. It would be better, but yeah.
It makes sense. So you're saying first is highlight critical bug fixes and cherry picks, and also highlight something that was incorrectly created and likely will be like.
I don't want to highlight that one in particular. I just wanted to highlight the fact that like people will poke on the, do we want this to make this patch release or not? And given that that's a moment, it would be good to make sure that we have a view that's tailored to that release ceremony in Kubernetes.
Makes sense. Thank you. Okay, then, if there are no more comments, we can conclude this meeting. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of the day. Bye.
Right.